The Cougars, with a 4-set win over Western Carolina last night, had 20 blocks in those 4 sets. Schaffmaster gets the first swing for the Tar Heels, and preseason All-ACC. She showed why last night, and she gets the first point tonight.
And why not set your top attacker right away, get some rhythm, get a little momentum going right here in set 1.
Now in her senior season, came into this season 13th on the all-time list at Carolina with over 1,100 kills in her career. Foster. She's going to get the kill.
What a shot by Foster on the left side. And boy, if she can get hot early, then you're really kind of chasing your tail defensively if you're the Cougars. One thing that Carolina was focused on in the preseason, we talked with Coach Shaw about having more offensive balance, and we saw that last night. So it's great to see that 1-2 punch so early here in set 1.
Schaffmaster with a dig from the back line after the good serve. The swing from Thorpe going to be long, though. And the Cougars on the board for the first time here in set 1.
So far, we're seeing a little more set distribution. It's only 3, point sample size, but it's pretty obvious to me Carolina wants to get their right sides going again, because last night, Kyle, their right sides combined for over 300 hitting percentage. I mean, their right sides were unstoppable last night.
Holland, one of those transfers on the serve there. She's out of Penn State. College of Charleston going to tie it up.
Back-to-back unforced hitting errors. That's one of the things that is kind of woven into that recipe of offensive efficiency. You're going to make a few mistakes if you're going to be aggressive. You just don't want to compound them and have too many in a short span.
Clip the tape, May able to handle it, and not going to get a swing and then a miss on that one. Taylor hammers it home.
Boy, and I love that we go right back to her after an error. Let's get her the ball again, get that confidence going. And man, when she is one-on-one, Kyle, I don't think many teams are going to have an answer.
Carolina came into the year, they knew they had a couple of really good outside hitters in Foster and Schaffmaster, but it's been that question in the middle, who's going to fill the void? They hit the transfer portal, and we'll see some of those players, but at least in the 1+ sample we've seen, they're going to rely on a freshman there.
If you've got an athletic player like Taylor that can man the middle, and freshmen, it's kind of a mixed bag sometimes. They come in maybe a little jitters, maybe they're kind of feeling their way, but she looks completely confident and at home in just this match and first few points of this match under her belt.
Cougars try to run the slide. Barrett with the dig for the Tar Heels, but it's a free ball. Back to the near side pin, and there's 2 blockers. Thorpe was there with Engelbrecht.
Now you look
2
at
of those transfers.
right on cue. You look at the dynamic blocking moves, and boy, Thorpe is just such a monster blocker. You've got to really pick your spots and have good attacker vision if you're going to challenge that kind of block.
That one's going to sail on Taylor.
Maybe a little adrenaline pumping in the freshman there. She's all smiles. My bad, guys. I got the next one.
She'll sub out as Carolina, like last night, going to play a 6-2. Saw both Barrett as well as the transfer in there at the setter position for them in Isert.
Boy, Foster is just coming out firing here. His first few points of set 1. And she's someone that was a little bit inconsistent last year, but when she was on, Kyle, she was a difference maker for this team.
She had the 2nd most kills behind Schaffmaster, and I was going to ask you, now in her 2nd season, how much more comfortable is a player, especially a veteran player, in a system and on a team in year number 2?
Well, not just year number 2, but compound that with the other college experience, transferring in. I think she should be very comfortable, and she also understands her role. When you get to a 2nd year in a program as a starter, you have a much clearer picture of what your role is and what your expected impact is as well.
Go back to Foster, cross-court swing, and that one is in the tape.
Yeah, I'm sure Coach Shaw would love to have a dominant front court attacker with Schaffmaster in the back row, someone to establish themselves consistently. And Foster is putting her name in that hat right now for sure.
3 swings, 3 kills for Foster to lead the way early. The freshman Bollinger, who served really well last night for the Tar Heels. timing was a little bit off there, but did a good enough job, Engelbrecht did, to get that kill.
Well, you have to be extremely careful if you're going to go off speed to a libero like May. She is going to scoop that up and run transition offense and make it very difficult on your transition defense if you're the Cougars. So if you're going to attack anything to the left back side of the court when May's back there for the Tar Heels, I think you have to be aggressive.
Good pass off that serve. Cougars get a look, but it's another block for the Tar Heels. Carolina continuing what we saw in their 3-set sweep yesterday, and that is just really overpowering their opponent.
Yeah, you're kind of forcing a few errors, and if you're College of Charleston, the mentality needs to be, let's get a clean swing, let's cover our hitters, let's stay aggressive, but we need to start managing our errors a little bit.
Try the top of the screen. May is there for the dig, but it'll go out of bounds.
And a much better swing if you're going to go in, again, on that side of the court. Anytime you're attacking to the libero side of your opponent, I think you need to bring some heat. I think you're rolling the dice too much if you go off speed at somebody whose skill set demands that they wear that jersey.
There's Olivia Angel, the libero. Just a sophomore, but a transfer from Virginia Tech, so some familiarity with the Tar Heels.
And I was really curious, Kyle, how Angel was going to play because College of Charleston is without their returning libero of the year and Timely Smeltzer. So Angel's getting the nod, and so far she's playing pretty well.
Yeah, Smelter would have been in her senior season, and I don't think it's a season-ending injury. They'll get her back at some point, but last year's CAA Libero of the Year, that's a big loss, especially when you have so many new players trying to get a team to gel. You can't rely on that really solid defensive player.
100%. You've got to bring a lot of players in. You want to have a foundation. You want to have something about your team that's consistent you can hang your hat on. And usually a returning libero of the year would be that piece. So hopefully she's not out very long.
Taylor picks up her second kill of this set, and not many that are going to come as easy as that after a good serve from May and an overpass.
And the timeout here from College of Charleston.
Carolina with a 6-point lead here early in this first set.
The worst part about being a caveman is the upkeep. I'm a hair.
Have made a difference for the Tar Heels.
May, not a transfer. She's been with the Carolina Tar Heels all 3 years since she is a junior now. Coming off one of her best performances as a libero. And there's the block for the Cougars. 20 in 4 sets yesterday. There's the first one tonight.
And they desperately needed a momentum play. And if you get a stuff block against the other team's top attacker, sometimes that's worth 2 or 3 points of momentum if you can follow it up with clean play. An aggressive serve here to try to establish a little pressure back on Carolina.
Cole Cruz, the freshman out of Ocala, Florida, serving. Carolina comes near side, and the lefty gets the kill. That's Yadumja.
And you look at the attention that Mabry Schaffmaster commands when you look at the blocking here of Carolina. Look at the middle blocker, cheat towards Schaffmaster, leaving Yamunda wide open on the right side. She's one-on-one. She's probably going to put that away.
Already Carolina with 5 different players who have registered a kill. And that's coming off of a night where we saw them have so many players get involved offensively, which took a lot of the load off of that young woman right there, Mabry Schaffmaster.
That offensive balance is key for any team that wants to have success deep into the season. You know, especially for an outside hitter, if you're kind of riding one horse, so to speak, that person's going to take a large volume every match, and that adds up. That wears down your body over time.
Carolina now up in front by 7 here in set 1. Barrett with a serve and an ace.
That was an amazing serve that just dropped right off the table. There are some serves where you just have to tip your cap to the server and say, that's just too good. And that's one right there. What an amazing serve.
Carolina on a 10-2 run right now. Cougars looking to end it. It is not touched. That'll be an attack error. 4th of this set against College of Charleston.
And I like the tempo that College of Charleston is trying to run to the pin to try to create some seam in that block. And you know, Anna Smith, who had that error, she's someone that finished 2nd on the team in kills last year. She's someone that they trust to handle the ball, and I'm sure she'll find a rhythm here as the match goes on. Just
saw that graphic. Carolina hitting 467 in this first set, and Coach Shaw told us before this weekend that was his biggest point of emphasis. He wanted to be a better hitting team, more efficient. They were just over 200 last year. Last night, 336 for the win, and they've only improved here so far tonight.
Yeah, if you're getting 5, 6, 7 kills per set on average like they did last night, and you're only having 3 unforced errors or less, that's a pretty good efficiency, and that's something you can ride to a lot of success.
There's Allie Holland getting another block, her second here in this first set. Transfer from Penn State.
She was also a preseason All-CAA conference pick, and you can see why. And ooh, just missed that one, but so far in this short sample with her on the court, I think she's someone that Coach Shaw and his staff need to kind of game plan. When she's up there, we may have to change our offensive tendency a little bit because so far she's got a really great net presence.
Schaffmaster back to serve for the Heels. Big jump serve, overpass, and an ace. Tar Heels had 5 aces last night, but it wasn't necessarily the aces as the consistent tough serves that really impressed us.
Yeah, they're following that up with a strong performance from the service line today. If you're attacking well, your unforced errors are low, and you're getting service pressure, you're really tough to beat.
North Carolina in the preseason, and you remember the ACC is now an 18-team league. They were picked to finish 10th in the conference. I know it's just 2 games, but this may have to get adjusted as the season goes on. Some people may be wrong, but 10th is what they were picked. When you're a team coming in and picked middle of the road in your conference, is that something that you kind of play with a chip on your shoulder? Like, we're going to prove some people wrong?
It can be. You know, it really depends on the mindset of the coach and the players, and also what's the legacy, what's the history. Are you trying to carve a new legacy and a new history for the program? Maybe there hasn't been that much success in the past and that sort of thing. Or are you part of a program who's been historically strong but maybe struggled the last couple of years? You're trying to get back up. Those are 2 different approaches. You look at all the teams on this list, and man, there's some tough competition here, Kyle. So if you're going to move up, who's going to move down? That's the #1 question. You can only focus on your side of the net, but when you've got Cal, SMU, Stanford coming in the league, you really have to put your best foot forward every night if you're going to chip away at those standings.
Yeah, and you saw that SMU and Stanford both picked to finish above Carolina, so it's not just who's coming down, but there's 2 new members, so you've got extra
100%.
teams to jump.
Right. It's a longer road to hoe to the top of the ACC this year than it ever has been, and I think all these teams relish that competition because a Stanford, a Cal, and SMU would likely be a team that you'd see in the NCAA tournament to go deep.
Do you think that that's going to help the conference get more at-large bids because it's ultimately going to bring that RPI up? That resume is going to look better because you're playing more tough competition in conference.
100%. You look at the conference realignment the last few years. You know, you look at the Big Ten, the SEC, you know, kind of the Pac-12, you know, dissolving. And what's happened? Now you've got 3, 4 conferences that are stacked. And when you look at strength of schedule, strength of RPI, all of those programs in those conferences have all been elevated. You know, rising tide raises all ships, and that's what we're seeing.
Foster with the kill. Pryor for Carolina is her 4th, leading the way for the Heels. On another run here, 4-0, and it is going to end, though, as Thorpe will send it long.
If you're staring up at a double-digit deficit, right now it's cut to 9, and you're Jason Kepner, the head coach of College of Charleston, you're thinking, we have to establish some kind of rhythm for the end of this set. Whether we come back and win or not, we need to have a better rhythm, better defensive intensity, and better net presence going into set 2, because Carolina offensively is just on fire right now. And we've got to figure out some way to slow them down, some way that we can counter punch on our side of the net offensively as well. And I think one thing, Kyle, is I've been really impressed with the Tar Heels defense of the front third of the court. In other words, against tips and rolls off speeds. None of that's scoring. So if I'm College of Charleston, let's swing a little more aggressive and go after these guys.
They just made one change, and he told us in our conversation with him that he prefers to play a 5-1. Although last year they had 3 setters over 300 assists each. he'll change what he needs to, but he wants the 5-1. Well, for the first time, we saw him sub in, and you get in a 6-2 rotation now, bringing in that second setter. Hannah Scott went to the bench, and Appelman came in. We'll see if that'll change things for the offense.
Well, something needs to change because right now in the match, they're hitting negative. So a smart move to just mix it up. If your team is not performing offensively, stand-old tradition from coaches is to switch up the setter, right? Let's switch. If the team's not getting it in the end zone, let's change the quarterback.
Yeah.
Right?
That's Carson Overbeck, the redshirt junior from right here in Chapel Hill, in to serve for the Carolina Tar Heels.
Boy, the serving for Carolina has just been outstanding here in set one.
Foster shoves that one to the back line, kept alive, and another chance here for the Tar Heels. Big bump set for Foster, and she gets the kill. That is 6 on 6 swings.
Wow. And if you're in the College of Charleston, it's not a bad decision to attack the ball at the backcourt setter in a 6-2 in Carolina and get them out of system. But then you've got Foster, who even though the block is keyed on her, she just hits around it and can score in so many different ways.
Ball just trickled to the North Carolina side. They keep it alive. It looked like some miscommunication there from the Cougars.
Well, not a great connection there in the transition middle.
First rally we've seen between these two, and why not? Foster dominating his first set.
And here's the difference. You've got Bannett going toe-to-toe against Foster, if you will, outside versus outside. And Bannett's doing pretty well. She's getting the ball through the block, but she's not terminating. She's not scoring points. The play is continuing, but Foster is. Foster is putting the ball down, and that's the difference.
Bannett with 8 swings, which is the most for the College of Charleston, but she still has yet to register a kill. On point, she gets one.
And really the first off-speed ball we've seen score for the Cougars. You know, having that front row setter in that last rotation, kind of mixing it up. Let's run a slide go or slide 4, kind of make the middle blocker for the Tar Heels play pin to pin. That's probably a wise move here, and that opens it up for a quick dump.
Quick set down the middle. Blocker was there, but Taylor able to get up above it and get the kill.
That's just too good with execution.
That's Engelbrecht, actually.
If you're passing that well, it opens up your offense to everything that the setter wants on her menu. You can run quick middle. You can do a quicker tempo to your pins. Everybody's in rhythm when you're passing well.
Back set, and that'll be another kill for Bannett.
Such an impressive shot. I'm not sure she had to hit it that sharp to score, but you're seeing the full repertoire for Bannett, you know, from the left side, from the right side. She individually is playing pretty well. We just need someone else to step up offensively and a little more aggressive defense.
A transfer out of Loyola University Chicago, 19 kills last night, matched a career high, but you can't keep pace with Amani Foster, who has her 8th kill here in this set. Still doesn't have an attack error.
And that last kill against a triple block. So College of Charleston is trying to make an adjustment, but so far, Foster just keeps firing away.
There's the only mistake she has made, and it comes from the service line.
You jinxed her, Kyle. Come on, man.
That's
Come
what the Cougars have to do, is just make sure she's nowhere near the net. Just force her back out of bounds. Unbelievable first set for Foster.
She has definitely come out of the gate swinging and started hot. We'll see if she can continue that in set 2.
Dumja couldn't put it away, near side, and that's a kill.
And that's something I'm sure Coach Kepner for College of Charleston would love to see. Let's at least get 2 or 3 more points. Let's get a couple more positive plays here. You know, it's a very tall mountain to try to climb to get back in this set, but let's finish with a couple of strong points here heading into set 2.
Deanna Dollar, the sophomore out of Burbank, with that kill. Back to Yardumja, and she'll get the kill this time. And the fact that they've got 7 different players with multiple kills.
I think it's both. You know, blocking stats, this early in the season, when you have a very small sample size, are more dependent on your opponent. So, you know, it's a little skewed, right? If you're playing a very strong opponent with great offensive balance, then, you know, your numbers are going to dip a little bit. That's expected. I think that's what we're seeing.
Some presence at the net to start this point off, but eventually Carolina is able to win, and Schaffmaster gets the first point.
Well, you just look at the physicality. You look at Schaffmaster and just the arm speed, the motion. She's so deceptive in her shots, but she has power too. She can go through blockers.
A bad set goes into the net. Carolina going to get the first 2 points here of set number 2.
And that's the one thing that you can't afford if you're College of Charleston. It's one thing to not be scoring, but they didn't really have any bad errors in the first set, right? They just kind of got outplayed. You don't want to open that door of bad errors, and we just saw 2 in a row.
That one right into the net. Yeah, just 4 attack errors in that first set for College of Charleston. But a little out of sorts here to start things off in the second. Callahan, the last one to put it in the net. She had a good night last night. 7 kills, 8 blocks. There's a kill. Go right back to her.
And it really starts with good passing as well. If the middles can get going for College of Charleston, we didn't see many attempts from the middles in the first set. A lot of that was because of the service pressure that Carolina put on the Cougars. But if College of Charleston can get some middle setter connection going, that could be a difference.
Service error will give the point to Carolina. That is one category that they haven't hurt themselves in. That's the first service error against the Cougars.
And you're going to wonder of these next 5 to 10 points with so many new players, even though they're experienced, they're not experienced playing together. So how does this group respond in these moments when maybe the team's not in rhythm, we're not really clicking on all cylinders, and the opponent's putting a lot of pressure on us? How do we stay and come together, you know, as a new team with all these new faces? I think that's the challenge facing College of Charleston right now.
Carolina picking up right where they left off. Early 4-point lead in a tough one because it's Schaffmaster and that big jump serve at the line right now. Barrett with a back set for Thorpe.
Wow.
Good job keeping it alive by Angel.
What a play by Angel.
May with a bump set for Foster, and there's the first error on Foster. She hit that one into the net.
Well, what makes her so dynamic is her length and her approach rhythm. She's so fast, she's so quick in her step close. She gets up and through the ball so fast that a lot of blockers have difficulty timing it.
Angel, who had 28 digs last night, was huge in their win over Western Carolina, and Foster gets right back on track.
And that's a smart heads-up play by Foster. Coach Kepner's face says it all there. That if you've been swinging, I think that's her first off-speed ball we've seen. Blockers tend to go a little bit faster and a little bit, you know, more aggressive. So if you can get them on the way down, you can score with an off-speed tip.
Carolina blockers got a piece of that one. Thorpe with a big swing and a kill. Her third.
And we mentioned it last night, Kyle, but if you're a volleyball fan watching the match, you may think that last set looked a little janky, coming out of the hands, all that spin, which normally could be called a double contact. But this year, with the rule change, officials are not going to call that. If you're in the second contact, it's not going over the net, but it's going to a teammate, and it's not pretty, they're going to let that play on this year.
Yeah, we talked about that during last night's match. I think that's a great rule because if you miss-hit it as the setter, it's not giving you any advantage.
Correct. Yep. Yep. And that was the main spirit behind the rule change. You know, why award your opponent a point for just the way that you handle the ball to a teammate? And, you know, volleyball is the only sport that had that kind of rule for scoring. And, you know, I think it's a good change.
Even though there's 2 blockers in front of Foster, she doesn't care at all. This time she uses the blockers to help get a kill. She's already into double digits.
Boy, she's kind of like in the old Sega Genesis game. You're heating up.
You're on
NBA,
fire.
You're on fire. You know, she's got the red circle under her feet right now on the screen.
Carolina continues that tough serving, and that one is a little bit long. Point to the heels. There's only been 2 aces for the Tar Heels, but continually you find the Cougars just being off with the passes by a little bit. They're not completely out of system, but their timing is off just a little bit, it seems like.
And that's the credit to the service pressure that you're talking about. You know, when your middles only have about 4 attempts combined when we're a set and a half in, that speaks to that you're not able to pass the ball very well.
Yeah, that served much better, although the set is too close to the net, and it's going to be another Carolina point. 10-3 lead for the Heels here in the second set.
What's happening right now for the Cougars is that you have a mix of what we'll call bad unforced errors and good unforced errors. What's a good unforced error, Kyle? It's when you're aggressive and you just miss, right? That last swing from the outside, the full swing was an aggressive miss. You have to live with some of those. But the bad errors, throwing it out of bounds, hitting it to the bottom of the net, those are the things that you want to clean up that you can control.
Holland, who has been involved in the couple of blocks that College of Charleston has had, gets her first kill there. Just the 5th player to register a kill for College of Charleston.
Well, the good news for the Cougars is that when they have set their middles, they've been productive. You know, they have presented some challenge for North Carolina defensively, but they just haven't been able to give them many opportunities.
Big dig right there from Angel. Cougars able to get it across. 3 blockers in front of Foster.
Good scrappy defense by both teams.
You could see the frustration Isert had with herself there.
Yeah, she knew she probably had a shot to get a quick score there. You know, during a long rally, that's a great time for the setters to throw in a dump. Everyone's moving. Sometimes you don't get back to your defensive base. You're not as disciplined during long rallies. I'm sure she wants that one back.
Isert, the grad transfer out of Middle Tennessee. 17 assists, 10 digs in her debut. Just, you know, easy double-double last night.
Oh, how impressive. Yamani Foster today. She cannot be stopped right now, and you have to be frustrated if you're College of Charleston, because in these situations, when you serve aggressive, you get them a little out of system, you anticipate her to get the ball. We've seen triple blocks, double blocks, and it doesn't matter. She's putting the ball away no matter what look she's facing.
Freshman bowling her into the game, and she'll send that one long for the service error.
And I would say, Kyle, that, okay, College of Charleston can maybe breathe a little bit, like exhale, because Foster's out of the game. She just rotated out. But look who's up to the front row now. You've got a young lady named Shaftmaster, who's not too shabby herself.
15 kills last night for Mabry. Actually had her second most efficient night as a Tar Heel, as she hit .519 on the match.
Wow.
Just destroyed that one down the line for her 5th kill.
Well, it's getting to the point now where if you're Jason Kepner and the Cougars, you've got to draw something up defensively to try to slow down their left sides. You're probably not going to stop them. They're very talented, but you need to slow them down, because right now, Shaftmaster and Foster combined have 17 kills. The rest of Carolina's team combined has 7.
Do you start to sell out, maybe cheat that way a little bit, and even if it's going to leave you open on the other end, say, listen, you got to have somebody else that's going to beat you in this situation?
100%, because you look at the score, you look at where you are in the match, and as a coach, I would be okay if someone else is beating us. I want to slow down who's hot right now and maybe get a great stuff block or momentum block.
Carolina, after so many pin swings, goes down the middle, and freshman Taylor with her 3rd kill. Had 7 in her debut yesterday. College of Charleston going to take themselves their first time out. Tar Heels in control here in set number 2. Alongside Corey Carlin, I'm Kyle Straub, and when we talked with Carolina's head coach, Mike Shull, he told us from year 1 to year 2, the thing he wants to see the biggest improvement in is hitting percentage. He wants to be more efficient. And you look at that right there, Carolina doing exactly that now 4.5 sets into the season.
It's pretty incredible what they've been able to do in this short sample size in the first weekend. And You know, if this is an outlier, can they, even if they're over 300 on average, that's really tough. And what's hidden in this hitting percentage is also the service pressure, because here's how that factors in. If you get the opponent out of system, they give you an easier attack. Now you run better transition offense. Now that inflates your numbers. So it all ties together.
Not just out of system, but an ace for Carolina, and then backed up to another one where College of Charleston, they're going to reverse that and say a net violation. It almost was back-to-back points for Carolina. And I was going to ask you, if you're Coach Kepner, what are you thinking in this situation? You just come out of a timeout, and you have both of those plays go the way they did.
It's a challenge. I think it's important as a coach that your team doesn't see you panic. They don't see you, freak out, but just let's stay the course. What is some tactical things that we can do to make a difference? What do we see from the other team that we can maybe make a change and exploit something? But we need to have some positive plays compound each other, and that's how you start to establish some kind of rhythm.
Even when they seem like they're in system and they're going to get a good swing, you end up with one pass that's off, and Bannock having to go behind her to get that swing and sends it long for an error.
Yeah, and that's been the combination here for the Cougars so far this afternoon. Is Carolina has put a lot of pressure on them. Carolina's playing very well, but then there's also been some unforced errors sprinkled in. So is that because of the pressure the Tar Heels are applying? Of course, that has something to do with it, but there's been a few errors that I think the Cougars would like to have back as well.
Searching that brain for knowledge of what's the answer to this problem, and going back to the playing days, the coaching years, does he have something in there that can get them on track? There's a nice one in the middle.
I was going to say, I think that's the answer. So far in this match, the only thing that's consistently bore fruit for College of Charleston has been their middle transition game. So if I am Coach Kepner, I'm talking to the setters for Charleston. I'm talking to Appleman. I'm talking to Scott. I'm saying, hey, guys, let's force it to the middle. If you're in any kind of good body control and a transition play and the middles are an option, let's get them the ball.
Right after the nice play in the middle to get the kill, the error gives it right back to Carolina. And it brings Foster back into the game as well. Schaffmaster to serve.
What a rocket by Schaffmaster.
Was that touched? It was not. Attack error.
And here's the misleading thing. That last swing right there by Dollar, that's okay. I will take that. If you're trying to tool the inside hand, or maybe you miss it by a foot out of bounds, but you're going for an aggressive shot, it's just mixed in with the other errors. So it kind of, excuse it a little bit. I think if you're watching this match and you're getting a little frustrated with those errors, it's good to qualify. Well, we want to stay aggressive here, so we have to live with some of those.
7 overall errors in the set for College of Charleston. 11 in the match, and there's a block for Carolina. Haven't seen a ton of the block for the Tar Heels, but we didn't last night either. Just 5 in the match, and that was their 4th tonight.
Well, and their defense behind the block has been stellar. You talk about May, what she's done. We've seen Overbeck come in and make a few plays. Schaffmaster's been a good digger in the backcourt so far this weekend as well. That 6-row attacker.
Sophie Hampton, the sophomore, going to check in for the first time this season for the Tar Heels.
And Carolina does a great job so far tonight, Kyle, of blocking out of system. When College of Charleston has been out of system, that's usually when they get a positive touch or just a straight stuff block.
Is it because you're able to shorten the court?
Yeah, you can anticipate better when the team's out of system. There's not a lot of deception. You're probably not having to bite on a middle blocker route. You can just commit to the pin.
Might get a challenge here. Thorpe saying she didn't touch it. Judges saying it was. Point goes to College of Charleston. And Mike Shaw is indeed going to challenge this one, I think. Showed him the green card.
Get a good look at it here.
When you have the reaction that your team does, Carolina.
Yep. Should get you a blue shirt, Kyle. You get down there and make the call. That was pretty good.
Just as long as I get to look at the replay 3 times before I make every call.
That's fair. Yeah, you know, going for that wipe-off shot, just missing. Again, right idea, just not the execution that we needed in that moment.
Another ace for the Tar Heels. 4th of the match.
What a great 1-2 punch that Carolina is showing us so far this weekend, Kyle, in serving tough and backing it up with great transition offense.
And listen, that serve is to the libero Angel, who had 28 digs last night. Not like she's a bad defensive player. There's another ace.
Wow. And here's an adjustment that I think the Cougars need to make. When's the last time we saw a short serve from Carolina? I don't remember that they've done it yet this match. So let's have everybody take a step back. If it's above your waist, it's out of bounds. Make them beat you short. If those deep serves are putting pressure on you, I think you need to make that adjustment.
Sophie sends that one long, ends a 6-0 Carolina run. 2 points away from going up 2 sets to nothing.
Same challenges in front of the Cougars here. Can we get 2, 3, 4, 5 points and just establish a little better rhythm?
With a big swing, but a dig from Appelman. Teammate can't get to it. It'll fall in for a point. Thorpe now with 4 in the match, and Carolina has themselves set point.
Gosh. You think about the efficiency that the right sides have had last night and so far today, and the right side offense is really clicking for Carolina.
Kaden Shea checks in and serves her first action this season for the Tar Heels. Thorpe, big swing, and it's going to go long. She wanted to call for a touch, but I don't think you're going to get a challenge on that one.
At this point, there's really no need. You know, she's kind of nodding her head. My fault, guys. I maybe overswung a little bit, but, you know, when everything is going your way, take a swing for the fence.
Cruz to serve. First set point. Foster gets it in.
With an explanation point, Kyle. Oh,
it was 7-11 in the ACC. Underway here in the 3rd set.
We have a libero change for College of Charleston. We weren't sure if we were going to see Tinley Smeltzer, the conference libero of the year last year, but she's now back on the court.
See if that makes any kind of a difference for them in slowing down the North Carolina attack. Bump set near side here for Smith. Nice rally here for this first point. Offline, Smith just pops it over. Free ball for the Tar Heels. Right down the middle, it's the freshman Taylor.
And that's an indicator of a team that's coming together this early in the season. Coach Shaw talked about shaping that identity, and so far, when they've had opportunities this weekend, Kyle, they've capitalized.
And in that point alone, we saw Carolina go to 3 different players in a long rally and 3 different positions on the floor. Schaffmaster with the big serve. Smeltzer able to handle it. I wonder if that might be part of the reason that there's the change is the serve receive. We saw late in that 2nd set, Angel had a couple of reception errors that turned into aces.
Serve receive is a huge part of establishing rhythm. If you're not in a rhythm and serve receive, that affects all of the contacts that follow. But it's also about some swagger. It's also about some passion and enthusiasm, and that's tied to the libero position. The best teams that you see, I promise you that they have a libero that's competitive, shows some fire and grit, and gets after it.
That one just a little bit long. Good read on that back line by the Cougars.
So far, you're already seeing a little more energy from the Cougars. You're seeing a little more pep in their step. We had a couple of players follow that ball with their feet to the line. They're moving a little bit better. I think they know that they can play a little bit better in this match.
There's Avery Alexander, the junior, on the serve. Set. Foster will get the kill. Alexander was there, just couldn't get the hands up quick enough.
Well, those are the ones that are a little bit more disappointing. If you're going to get scored on, but it's, you know, a full swing, a crack to the floor, sometimes you just got to tip your cap to that. But if it's an off speed that scores, sometimes that stays in your gut a little bit.
Cougars out of system. Carolina with a free ball. Back set for Thorpe. She gets the kill through 2 blockers.
So here's what we're seeing, Kyle. If Carolina has any kind of off speed, any kind of free ball opportunity, they are converting almost 1,000% in those situations. So if you're College of Charleston, you have to really work hard not to give them free balls and not to give them any easy balls to dig, because they've proven that they can convert those at will.
How about the job that Barrett has done for the Tar Heels at the center position? There he is, or she is, setting cross court for Foster. A great dig.
There's Smeltzer right on Crute.
Thorpe blocked and a point for the Cougars.
And that's the play, Kyle, that makes a difference. When you have someone that can make a stabbing defensive play or just minding their body to go after the ball in that way, you followed up with a great transition block. Now you're playing good team defense, but it started with that play from Smeltzer and just the pursuit and the passion you had to go get that ball. Just in the last couple of points, I think you can see why she was Libero of the Year last year in their league.
Well, and change in Libero, but Angel not out of the game. She's still out there, so they're going with more of a defensive lineup.
And that's a smart play. What can we do to maybe try to slow down the offense here?
Thorpe tried to send that one over. Maybe should have just bumped it and got it to somebody else. Turns it into an error, and College of Charleston down by just 1.
And I love what we're seeing from the Cougars right now. It's showing the Tar Heels that, yeah, we're down 0-2. We didn't play very well in the first 2 sets, but we're not going away. And that's another good example there. You get a service ace. Now you're tied in set 3, maybe playing for the first lead in the match.
And that's the first service ace of the match for the Cougars. Tar Heels tried the middle, they go back to Foster, and if one doesn't work, just go to the old well.
But that's okay because we're seeing improvement, Kyle. It took 2 swings that time for Carolina to score, and if it takes 2, 3, 4 swings, you can extend the rally. That's an indicator that you're playing better volleyball.
Eisert serving for Carolina. Back set and a slide. That one is tipped, and it is going to be a point for the Cougars.
And much better footwork from the serve receivers of College of Charleston. That ball was tracking deep. Again, Carolina going with that deep third service pressure. But great footwork and execution allowed the Cougars to get a good swing offensively, and you see what happens.
Cross court set, Foster just forced to send that one to the back line. Opportunity for the Cougars, and a big swing for Bannett. We haven't called her name a ton, but she picks up her 3rd kill there.
And this is the College of Charleston team we kind of expected to see in the opening set. Now they're kind of settling into a little bit of a rhythm. I think Carolina needs to be aware that now they're back into that fight. We need to stay in our rhythm. We need to keep having service pressure and do what we did well the first 2 sets.
Another swing for Foster. This time she'll get the kill off the blockers.
And one of those things we did well in the first couple sets was set number 8. Boy, so impressive so far in this match.
For Foster, that is now 17 kills for her. Hitting .640.
Wow, so impressive she's been this afternoon.
Cougars go back to Bannett. Tar Heels with an opportunity. And a kill near side. Yadumja.
And I love that set and transition, Kyle. When you get a fast bang-bang play, a fast dig, a fast low dig, and you can run something quick in transition, usually the blockers have not recovered yet. You can kind of get those quick seams just because it's so fast.
Payman Yadumja, the transfer from Miami, originally out of Istanbul, Turkey. How much of a change of a pace is it to bring in a player? She doesn't have a lot of swings, but very efficient. 3 kills on 5 swings, but she's also the southpaw, that different look, the lefty.
Yeah, it creates a different element, especially as a blocker. If you're a left side blocker and you're facing a lefty, it's a little bit different cues you're looking at, their angle of approach and how you're lining up. So it does present a little bit of a challenge, especially if you don't have a lefty in your own gym to practice against.
Yadumja also note, first Turkish player since Ece Tanar for the Tar Heels. And I point that out only because after she was done with Carolina, she sat in your seat with me for a couple of seasons. Carolina back out in front by 3 after a nice 4-0 run, forces the Cougars into a timeout. During the break, we were talking about College of Charleston and figuring out one aspect to get better at, to improve at. Well, it's not a great number, but it's a much better number than what we had seen at positive hitting percentage here in this third.
Yeah, that's step one. You're not going to jump from negative 300 to positive 300 in, 5 or 10 points. It's more about just chipping away. Let's have some quality swings. Let's work for a good look. Let's make sure we're not airing ourselves out. And as Coach Kepner said in our coach's call, he really wants his team to earn points. And that really happens if you're getting quality passing and quality setting and hitting connection.
Problem, though, Carolina you saw hitting .412. That's the reason they find themselves up by 3 and on a 4-0 run at the moment. It's going to be ended. Some net presence.
Well, and a really smart heads-up play. You're starting to see that volleyball IQ come into play here for the Cougars, where you know that Carolina's in a 6-2. They've got a setter and right back the whole time. So if you can't take a full swing, let's make that setter move, take her out of the transition offense, and set our defensive block up around it.
Back-to-back points for the Cougars.
You look at the service pressure that created this overpass. This is something that the Cougars need to do for the rest of this set. They need to ramp up their service pressure and try to keep Carolina on their heels where they can't just do what they want offensively all the time.
Tar Heels handle that set much better, but a great dig from Smeltzer. We've seen 2 really phenomenal defensive plays from her, and both result in a point eventually.
Boy, we have seen some pretty outstanding play by Smeltzer since she's come into the match, Kyle. And again, you can see why she was voted Libero of the Year in her league. Just on the 10 or 15 points we've seen so far, she plays with great intensity.
Set down the middle. Blockers were ready for it. And another point. College of Charleston answers a 4-0 run from Carolina with a 4-0 run themselves.
And this is a great test for Coach Shaw's team in this moment. This is the first time this weekend where you could say a team has really pushed back and Carolina hasn't really been dominant and going at will. So how does Carolina respond to these next 3 or 4 points if the Cougars can keep this rolling?
There's a response. Yadumja with the kill. And you're right, yesterday we saw Carolina around that 6 or 7 point mark pull away in all 3 sets, and it looked like they were going to in this one. It was 9-6, remember, timeout from College of Charleston, and they went on the run.
Right. And credit both coaches for scheming up their teams, motivating their teams to come out and make this a battle right now in set 3.
Cougars retake the lead.
Great swing by Bannett there. I'm sure Coach Kepner would love to see her get into a rhythm and start point scoring.
19 kills last night for Bannett. She's got 5. That leads the way for the Cougars tonight. Back to the near side. The blockers were ready for it.
Well, and I want to go back to the top of this set, Kyle, when the first couple of points, you just saw a different Cougar mentality. They had a little bit of swagger, a little bit of pep in their step. They just came out with more energy than we saw in the first set, and that's carrying over.
4th block of the match for College of Charleston. Tar Heels go right back to Yadumja. This time, she will get the kill. 5th of the match for her.
And even with the positive things that Carolina's doing in this set, it just feels different right now. This last 10 points just feels much different than the first 2 sets.
Good serve from Barrett. Cougars out of system. They get an opportunity, though. They're going to get a point off of it.
Wow. Well, you just see a little more confidence in this lineup for the Cougars. and you can tell that they're transitioning a little faster and they're just communicating a little bit more sharply. And when you talk about outworking a team, you know, coaches use that in coaching speak a lot. What does that look like in volleyball? It means you're transitioning faster, you're getting back to your base quicker, you're pointing out your cues, you're communicating well. That's how you outwork another team. And right now, College of Charleston is ramping up.
Goey with that point for College of Charleston prior. She's the third setter that's played in this game, but not totally unusual. We told you earlier they had 3 that had over 300 assists a season ago.
They've got a few quarterbacks at their disposal, which helps, especially if you're, you know, first quarterback or two aren't establishing a great rhythm, particularly with your middles. You've got another player you've got confidence in to come in and play.
Kill for Schaffmaster, sends her to the service line. That moves Foster off to the front line, but College of Charleston not allowing the Tar Heels to go on a run. They're maintaining that lead.
Right now we're seeing some counter-punch volleyball, you know. You score, I'll score. This set may come down to who's going to serve a little bit better, who's going to defend a little bit better.
All of a sudden, we showed you that stat when we came out of the timeout. It was 9-6, remember, as Foster jumped out of the gym for that one. But the graphic we showed you, Carolina has over 400 hitting percentage. It was 133 for College of Charleston. Not anymore. The Cougars actually out hitting Carolina here in this set now.
Well, and again, we're in a situation where it looks like kind of a counter-punch battle, and I love that last tempo that Barrett gave to Foster on the outside, a little faster. If you're in an offensive battle where you're scoring, the other team's scoring, what's going to tip the scale? And a lot of times it's, can we run our offense a little faster?
Taylor gets the ace, which is the 6th of this match for Carolina, and it ties things up. Side blockers were there. Taylor got a hand on it, and the Tar Heels get it over.
Scrappy defense from Carolina.
Another heads-up play by Gogi.
And what a heads-up play. You're right, Kyle, because when the other team is scrambling, they're on the run, that's a perfect time to toss in that set or dunk.
Great effort from Carolina to get it over. Just too much court left open, and really from, listen, a young player who hadn't gotten a lot of opportunity until this point, that's a really nice move. Gets them the lead back in the serve. Here's Thorpe, blocker there, and it's a solo block this time for Bannett.
By Bannett. Boy, if you get a one-on-one stop block, that's usually because of great technique and timing, and Bannett has been matched up against Thorpe all match. She's seen a ton of volume, so I think she's starting to understand her blocking rhythm when she's facing 77.
That was the 14th swing for Thorpe, make it 15. She'll win the battle this time, though. Well, number 6.
And even though that was a tool, Bannett was still in pretty good position. She got 2 hands on the ball as a single blocker. That means you're lining up well and probably making good reads. You just need a little bit better press.
Dumja comes back in, Engelbrecht, and Foster on the front line for the Tar Heels. Isert serving.
First short serve we've seen from Carolina.
May can't come up with a dig. Bannett catching a little bit of fire here. 7 kills for her in the match.
We've talked about the defense, Kyle, but how about the serve receive for the Cougars in this set? They've really ramped up their serve receive and handling the serves of Carolina much better here in set 3.
Deep serve from Holland, and it's going to go long. It almost looked like Foster tried to play that one, but didn't get her arm up in time, and it works out for her.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of, maybe did she touch that? Did it graze the arm as she was raising up her platform? But
freshman out of Windsor, Colorado, Julia Bollinger back in. Overpass.
Great read by Smeltzer there on the overpass dig.
Schaffmaster, 2 blockers there though. And the block that really paced College of Charleston yesterday to the win, starting to come to life here in this 3rd set.
Yeah, and you look at the moves that they're making and you think about going and what she did as a blocker there. She stayed with her hitter. Schaffmaster was underset a little bit on the inside, but the block moved in and was right on top of it. Great transition blocking by the Cougars.
Goey. Gets Carolina a little out of system. Good job to get back to at least get the ball to Schaffmaster. Go back to Mabry again. She picks up the kill.
Well, and if you get maybe Schaffmaster multiple looks in the same rally, it's probably not going to end well for you if you're the defense. She just has so many shots at her disposal. She sees the court and the block so well, and we saw that on display right there.
8 kills, 9 digs to go along with it for Schaffmaster. There's a set to the near side. Carolina able to get 2 blockers there. Though he tried that quick one, but Taylor was wise to it this time. Get in, it did.
And that's twice we've seen that shot from Bannett on the right side, that sharp cross-court angle, which in Carolina's defense, if you can hit that well, that's one spot that they don't have a digger. So does Coach Shaw, if he sees it again, do we make a little bit of an adjustment? That's only twice.
Schaffmaster with a left hand.
Oh my.
Mahomes out there?
Oh my gosh, she's so impressive and so fun to watch. Even in some of these awkward positions, that ball was a little bit of a tight set, right by Barrett to try to save it, but how impressive of an athlete is Mabry Schaffmaster to pull that out of the bag?
It's impressive to be able to go up thinking you're going to swing with one hand, swing with the other, but then to put it on point on the tape for an actual point.
It's just like you draw it up, right?
Great job by May covering that one. That should have been a block and a kill for the Cougars, but it turns into a point for Carolina.
This is a point right now where College of Charleston has worked very hard to stay in this match, in this set, so deeply. Can they continue to control what they can control? That was kind of a hop and pop play. You can't get too worried about those kinds of points, but we just need to continue to focus and serve receive and get a good swing.
Set for May for Thorpe. 2 blockers there. It goes out of bounds. 3 straight points for the Tar Heels, and they retake the lead for the first time since it was 10-9.
And credit Carolina. We said about 5-6 points ago, how would they respond in this moment? Because so far we haven't seen them in this moment, and they're responding very well.
College of Charleston going to take their second time out as the Tar Heels take the lead late. But man, what a different team it has been for that guy right there, Jason Kepner, head coach for the Cougars after the first 2 sets. And a lot of it has been because of Emily Bannett, both at the net offensively and defensively.
Well, we talked about at the top of the broadcast, and we knew that she had the potential and the ceiling as a player to impact this match. It took her a little bit to get going, but this set, she has played extremely well. Her attacking has been on point. Her blocking, Kyle, she only has 1 stuff block, but she's denied a few balls. She's been kind of in the face of those right side attackers for Carolina, and she's given her team a boost.
Bannett with 8 kills leading the way for the Cougars. 5 digs, which is tied for the team lead, and then the couple of blocks she has been involved in as well. And as she goes, I guess the Cougars go, because you see those hitting percentages going up when she plays well and way down there when she's not an option.
But if you're the Cougars, you can pat yourself on the back a little bit to say, hey, we've flipped the script. We came out much more aggressive here in set 3. We've shown the Tar Heels we're not going away. We're going to compete. On the other hand, you have to continue to progress and move forward and put your hand on a couple of focuses of this set. It's a race to 5 right now, and what can we do in this small runway in set 3 to try to close this out and force this to a 4th set? Is there a new play set we're going to see out of serve receive? Is there maybe a different angle that we're going to attack? So far, their serve receive has been consistent this set, which has been good. We can't take our foot off the gas there. I'm going to be curious if Carolina throws in a couple more short serves. We haven't seen that. You know, what does Carolina maybe do differently here to keep their edge?
Zoe Barrett, the sophomore, on the serve, sends it to the back line, and it is out of bounds. That's the 8th service error against Carolina.
Now that's one that I'm sure Zoe wants back.
She's got herself a double-double, 22 assists, 13 digs in the match. It's going to be given right back.
And that's just
We'll chalk that up to
unfortunate
early
timing.
season.
Sure, it's just unfortunate timing. I think over the course of a whole match, if you're going to serve aggressively and you have one in the top of the tape, you're going to live with some of that. It just happened in a fortunate time there for Smeltzer.
There's Schaffmaster. Cross court set. Foster had to time that one, and it is going to fall in for a Tar Heel point.
Boy, and that was the first time, I think, this match where we've seen Carolina get an off-speed ball from the Cougars and not convert right away.
Schaffmaster serves that one to Bannett. Serve goes to the far side. Blockers are there. Foster said, you know what? I don't need to get any more kills. I got 19, but I do want to get involved in the scoring. That's our first block.
Well, we're at a point right now where this is the danger zone for College of Charleston. I would love to see them set Holland in the middle. She's hitting almost 400 with no errors, and she hasn't been set in quite a while. You're passing well enough to get her the ball, like right there.
It's like you've done this before. It's like you've been on the sideline before.
Well, it's a little tricky. It's like, oh, you know, it's that 4th and 1 call, right? If it converts, you're a genius, and if it doesn't, why'd you make that call? Boy, credit the block for Carolina making a great read.
Couple of blocks here, get Carolina match point. Set to the near side. Tar Heels with a chance to put it away. Thorpe, and that's it. Her 8th kill of the night gives Carolina the sweep of College of Charleston. And Tar Heels move to 2-0 on the season.